Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon,
Hi.
Auntie.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Thank you.
Good. Well, oh my goodness. Four of us are wearing glasses. Okay. Are you short-sighted or long-sighted?
I'm short.
You're
So like
short.
I can probably see, but like I like to have it if I have like a live just to make sure I can see all the comments and stuff. My phone's a bit far away.
Okay. What about you, Wunmi?
I don't know whether I'm local, so I can't see.
Busola.
To be honest, I don't wear glasses to see. I wear them to protect my eyes from Blu-ray. They're Blu-ray like screen protectors because I get eye strain. So these help out a lot.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay. Anyway, it's quite interesting that we're all wearing glasses today. So, Hangout family, can you welcome these wonderful ladies? Welcome them. Give them virtual hugs. Show them some love. I want to see all the love and hugs. Do what you always do best. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for the love. Now I want to see the hugs. I haven't seen. Yes, that's it. Send them virtual hugs. And I'm hugging you guys from here too. Nonye,
Thank
Wunmi,
you.
and Busola. I hope you can feel the love from here.
Yeah, no, the comments are so nice. Thank you.
Great, 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 great. Thank you. So, ladies, thank you again for agreeing to do this. I know I kind of I don't want to use the word, but I remember I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was in a live thing with Busola's mom and Dr. Deomi, and I said, Busola, you're coming out. But at least you guys agreed to do it. Thank you, and I really do appreciate that. So let's get started. Let's get started with you ladies introducing yourselves, please. Can you introduce yourself? Nani, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, I'm Nonye. I don't really know what to say. I work in tech. That was a recent move. So I've started a new job quite recently. I grew up in London, was living in Lagos for almost 2 years, and I moved back to London quite recently.
Welcome back to London. Do you
Thank
miss
you.
Lagos?
At the moment, no, but I think like there will be moments when I do. I'm sure like the times where it's really, really cold in London, I'll be like, yeah, I had a good life there.
Yeah, I do. Okay, thank you, Nani. Wunmi?
Hi everyone, I'm Wunmi. I'm a corporate lawyer in the private equity and in London, known everybody in the chat for I don't know, like a quarter of my life at this point, I think.
More than definitely more than
To be fair.
And yeah, that's really happy to be here.
Thank you. Thanks, Wunmi. Busola.
Hi everyone, I'm Busola. I'm a management consultant focusing on transformation delivery, particularly in the TMT sector. I've known Auntie and Nonny like my whole life,
All your
and
life.
Wunmi maybe when about 13. Yeah. And so I grew up in London, moved to Manchester for work actually, and then literally moved back Feb 2020. So literally just before the lockdown, we thank God. So back at home with my mum.
Okay. And you enjoy being back at home after being away for a bit?
Actually, I really do, to be honest, because I don't have to do my laundry anymore. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Thank you, Mum. I see you just joined, so thank you. Shout out you.
I don't think she heard that. I think maybe because she just joined, she probably didn't hear you say that. So
Oh,
we won't say
okay.
anything. We won't say anything.
Thank you.
So, ladies, today the topic is maintaining friendship in a post-pandemic world. And you guys, you've all said you've been friends for a long, long time. But before we even go into the main topic, how would you define friendship? What is friendship? Who is a friend? Anyone, you can start. Because sometimes we sometimes we make acquaintances friends. and colleagues, friends when they're really not. So how would you define, or who would you call a friend?
For me, I would say it's like the family you choose. So people who I consider my friends, my closest friends, I consider them to be my sisters, my brothers, whatever. And then outside of that, I would, like, if I'm referring to Buzz and Nonye, I would say these are my sisters. And then my friends are actually the people outside of Nonye and Buzz and all my like people I consider family. So, and when you think of family, you think like you would pretty much do anything for them. It's very like a sacrificial kind of relationship. You trust them. To me, trust is at like the core of all of my very close relationships. So yeah, I would say friends are like the family.
Friends are the family you choose. Okay, great one. Okay, Nani?
Yeah, I'm happy to, like, I probably agree with most of what Wunmi said. And I think for me, friendship, yeah, as I've gotten older, what I defined a friend being has sort of shifted slightly. I've always been quite aware that for me, friendship is a relationship and relationships require work. So it's not everybody that I like would put the title of friend on, because that means that I'm putting a duty on you and me to like work on this relationship. But for the people I do call my friends, I think there is a duty of support. There's a duty of kind of carrying the person's wins as your wins and carrying their losses as your losses. And that's how I treat all of my friends. So I'm like invested in their lives to the point that it's like, this is like my own life kind of thing.
Yeah, good one. Okay, Busola.
And I agree with both of what both Wunmi and Nonye said. And I think someone like me who grew up as an only child, I'm not technically an only child, but I grew up as one. So I take my friendships really, really seriously. And I think as I gotten older, like I treasure them a lot more. And as Nonye said, there is a two-way relationship. And I think growing up, I've been able to understand that also you kind of need to accept your friends for who they are, and some things that you will do for them, you can't automatically expect them to do the same for you, because they'll show up for you in different ways. And I think that's something that has taken me a while to get to, because one of my closest friends, like she would like give me some advice, but maybe not say it in like the most nicest way. And I used to get so offended, but I know it's coming from love. Yeah. To be honest, Wunmi is also one of those as well. She is so blunt, but like, whereas I can be a bit like frilly and be like, oh, I don't want to offend you, but I do want you to know this. So that's one thing I really do. I've learned about my friendships over the years.
So you because you now understand her better.
Exactly.
So like, okay, that's just Wunmi. That's the way she is. So well. Okay. Great. So ladies, I'm really going to leave you guys to talk about this topic, maintaining friendship in a post-pandemic world. So you guys talk about it. What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can start off with like during the pandemic to like then switch into post-pandemic, because I know for me, maintaining friendships during the pandemic, well, it looked a little different for me because I was in Nigeria during the lockdown. So even without the lockdown, I was already going to be removed from my friends. Yeah. And this was my second experience of living in a different country to a lot of like my close friends. And I think that had just really taught me to be intentional, but also not to ask too much of myself, because I think it's quite easy to be like, oh, you know, I haven't checked up on this person, and then you just kind of like get into a panic of, oh, I'm a bad friend, blah, blah, blah. But I've tried to like lean into my strengths. So, I mean, I love a good voice note. I think I'm good at listening and giving advice. I'm not very good at consistently replying to messages or having like constant communication with people. Okay. So I just try to like lean into my strengths. I mean, one thing I would do is like send my close friends a voice note every so often, just like, hey, how are you doing? I would literally break it down into like 4 axes, like, let me know how you're doing. spiritually, let me know how you're doing like professionally with work and stuff, let me know how you're doing emotionally. And I would kind of just like ask them like that, and my friends would literally send me back like maybe like a 5 to 10 minute voice note, and that works for me.
Right.
And so I just kind of like lent into that, because other forms of communication I might not be good at.
Okay, that's good. Now, how did you, because when you moved, did you move before the pandemic or after?
Yeah, I moved in January 2020.
January 20, so okay, just before.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that for you, moving into an environment you had to make new friends and your friends were here? How did you cope?
I mean, I probably didn't really feel it that much in January, because everyone went into lockdown so quickly. So we were all in our houses anyway, and like everyone was kind of feeling isolated from their friends and stuff. I think it was more in 2021, there were a lot of times where I was just kind of like, wow, you know, a lot of the people who I consider to be my people, the ones who have known me, the ones who I don't need to explain myself to, like they're not physically with me right now. And so yeah, it was difficult at times, but I also just kind of was like, okay, let me be grateful for the people I do have, and then let me, you know, because I know I have this basis, okay, I can afford to like push myself out there and like meet new people and stuff, because I have a very solid foundation of love. So, you know, if I make a really good friend, great. If we end up not being great friends, that's also okay, because at the end of the day, like I'm going back to London where I know that there are people that love me.
My friends are okay. All right. Nonye and Wunmi, Busola and Wunmi, what was it like during the pandemic for you guys?
So to be honest, personally, it was actually quite hard for me in the beginning. So I'd literally just like broken up with someone who I kind of thought was the one back then. That was 2 years ago, so I can laugh about it now. But and you know, normally, you know, it was like, you normally when you break up with someone, I felt like, hey, I can go out with my friends, I can see them, take my mind off this person.
Yeah.
But literally the week later, that's when the lockdown kicked in.
Wow.
So, and we also had to self-isolate because of one of our clients also had it. So we weren't allowed out the house. So I found that really hard, like having to go through this breakup. And then just due to like my medical history, I was also put on the shielding list. So it kind of felt like I couldn't even just leave my house.
Yeah.
Like I would have like my council call me saying like, oh, you haven't requested groceries, because we used to get things delivered, but it was just like I was so stuck at home. And literally, thank God for a house party at the time, I got to really know who my real friends were. Like they were just cheering me up, just keeping me alive, keeping me motivated, keeping me and even people who I hadn't spoken to in years, were being so supportive. And then there were also people that like were like, I would have called them acquaintances, but they were really showing up for me, texting me daily, just checking in on me. And I was like, wow, like this is crazy. Like I didn't know I had this many friends. Because I do like to think that my circle's quite tight. We have a group chat called No New Friends, and then maybe I have like
So what's the group chat called?
No New Friends.
It's a great song though. We don't actually like, we like new people.
We do. We do. And then like I have like a couple of other friends like who I deem very close, who are not part of that group chat. And people outside of that, my bubble, were really like showing up for me, and I was quite shocked, but it also felt really nice.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Busola said, because like for me being in Nigeria, it was, well, I wouldn't say like helpful, but because she was very open with like, hey guys, like I just went through this breakup, it's not going well, need support, all of that kind of thing. So it kind of kept it top of mind, well, at least for me, because I wasn't like physically with her.
Yeah.
Especially when we first went into lockdown, because you know there's so much going on, you're trying to check up on like so many different people, and so it can be a bit overwhelming to try and be there. So something is helpful for the friends who it's like, hey, SOS, I need a lot of support right now. Then it's like you can direct your energy towards that, as opposed to like months later feeling like, oh, you missed something, like something was a crisis and you didn't know, and all of that kind of thing.
But Busola, let me go back to you. So how easy was it for you to ask for help? Because some people don't. Some people you break up and then you just go into their shell. Was it because of the kind of relationship you had? How easy was it to ask? And was it all your friends or just people like Nonye and Wunmi that you've known for a long time that you told?
I can be quite emotional and put my heart on my sleeve. Everybody knows that. So like they'll call me and be like, "Hi," I'll just burst into tears.
Oh,
So like it was very easy for me, especially with my close tight knit friends. It was very easy for me to be very open with them. And even when I text, I think I put it on like the group chat, like, so I broke it up, like the fact that everyone like called me, because everybody knew how I genuinely thought that was my husband at the time, like at the time. So everybody kind of knew like it would have got me really down at that moment in time. So I actually don't feel like I needed to be as explicit initially, but then when it got really bad, they were constantly checking in on me. I was telling them how I was feeling.
yeah.
And so it was, as I said, it's very easy for me to talk
So you
about
didn't even have to
like
say
that.
anything. As soon as you picked up the phone, you were like, oh.
Exactly.
You knew.
But not everyone is able to even do that, but we'll come back to that. So let's talk. What about you? What was it like for you?
What was it even like? I was in law school during the pandemic.
Okay.
So it was actually a blessing in disguise because the exams went online. And prior to that, I was struggling with school. And I'm not a person who asks for help. So didn't realize that I was struggling so badly until things had gone very, very far. So by the time we got into the pandemic, because things had gone so far and people knew how I was like reacting, my friends were even more supportive and checking in on me in a few seconds, just to avoid any bad situation. And then for me, how I maintain friendships during the pandemic, first of all, like know who your friends are, who your close friends are.
Right.
I think I've gotten older. Like when I was younger, I was like very invested in having like a lot of friends. I always wanted to have friends. But like Nonye said, friendship is a relationship and it's a two-way street, and I'm invested in your success, I'm invested in your losses, and that's like a lot of emotional baggage to take on to be able to give to somebody else. So we're only human, we don't have 10 heads, so you can only put that much energy out so far. So I keep my friendships small so that there's not so much overwhelming responsibility on me, and so that I don't have ridiculous expectations of so many people, and then I'm getting offended every single time that somebody does that expectation.
Yeah.
And then also when the way that I try to like check in on people is that if I know you're in a big stage of your life, like a big transition, like Nonye was in Nigeria, which me and Nonye, since she's been away, like she went to Paris for uni and then she went to Lagos, so we've done this whole like long distance friendship many times. So it's like when she was moving, I wasn't really that. Wait, can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah, it keeps going in and out. Yeah.
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 So yeah, Nonye and I have done this whole long distance several times. So when she moved to Nigeria, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? We know how to make it work, like FaceTime all the time, text, check in on each other, just stuff like that. But for my other friends, if they're going through big transitions in their life, so relationships, moving countries, jobs, things like that, I make sure to always check in on them in relation to that thing. So hey, like, I've been applying for jobs. Have you gone anywhere? Do you need any help, etc., etc.? Because for me, people's lives are so busy, and I feel like I like it when I know that, okay, I'm in the back of your mind. And I think my friends like it when, say, we haven't spoken for a while, I shall know that, you're still crossing my mind. And even if you just to someone, hey, just check in, hope you're good. Sometimes that's all that person needs to hear to feel appreciated and loved by you. So I try to do that with all of my friends, to check in every once in a while. I talk a lot, so I don't call them all the time because it's going to be like a 3-hour conversation. So just and catch ups. Because even within friendship groups, each individual has an individual dynamic. So different people are closer to different people for different reasons at different times. So I like having catch up. So for instance, like we have like a tradition of having a girls' Valentine's Day every single year. All the girls come together, we go for a dinner, we catch up. And then some people, I won't even talk for them to like, for like
Well,
another.
I guess you can only, you probably only do that if none of you is dating. Because if you're dating,
Oh no,
Dating
but like
one,
some people
enjoy.
have boyfriends, but we just do. So like this year we're doing 12th.
Yeah, doing
Yeah.
12. Okay. So not necessarily on the 14th.
Yeah, but about Valentine's.
Yeah. We just Valentine's because I feel like Valentine's is so easy to get lonely, especially if like or friendship group or in relationships and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the one that has been constant between all of us is the fact that we're still friends, and we can't take that for granted because, you know, some of us have also like not lost friendships or whatever it is. So maintaining the sisterhood through like big occasions like that, I always found very useful, and it's something fun to look forward to and like memories to build for the future. So yeah, that's how I would suggest maintain. Hopefully we never go into another pandemic so that we don't have to have this conversation. But
I pray not. I honestly pray that. So Nonye said that her strength is in leaving voice notes and things like that. What are your strengths, Wunmi or Busola? What are your strengths?
I really used to hate the voice notes until
Wow, it's all coming out now.
they added the speed up feature. And I was like, okay, like, I love this. But in my real life, I can just get the information that I need. Auntie, what was the question again? Sorry.
What was your strength? What are the things you like? So, like I said, Nonye leaves voice notes to check on people. So, what do you do? Do you call? I know you said you talk a lot, so you try not to call.
I try not to do that, but I think if you were to ask my friends about like what I do, if you need my help with something, no matter what that thing is, I will help you do it. Like even if it requires me to like research something so obscure that like has nothing to do with me, I'll be there to help you do it. Or like for instance, like when Nonye, when she was in Nigeria, she had come back briefly for her birthday, or like around her birthday, so like through her surprise. Like I like to do things for people, so I like to be useful. That would be my unique selling point as a friend.
So that's a practical thing you do.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I think for me, I do random check-ins. I think I'm not really a good texter. I'm one of those people, I like scheduled phone calls. Wunmi calls me at any time, any day. Like, it's kind of crazy. I feel like she's the only person who, and probably my mum, only people who could get away with that. I'm literally like, okay, let's talk today at Monday, 7 p.m. Like, that's just how I am. So I'm not for random phone calls, not my cup of tea. But I do random check-ins. And I'm also, if you're going through something, then I know how to smother to the point where it becomes a bit annoying. Like, I can check in on you every day. Like, if I feel like you really need me, I can like go across the country to just come and see you, because I do like to show a lot of care, because I'm also quite emotional, so I know how to bring out a lot of emotion through my smothering. So
And I'll say also, because it's funny like listening to people talk about their strengths compared to like how you perceive their strengths. And I think because I'm just a very acts of service driven person, so like I guess that's the love that I receive. And so for me, like thinking both about like Busola and Wunmi in the past sort of like year or two or whatever, the things that stand out is like, oh, this person really cares for me. We're all very service driven. Like, it wasn't really smothering, it wasn't really them calling me. It was like Busola, when I was like doing job prep, like doing my behavioral interviews with me, like sending me like notes of like, I think you should work on this answer, I think you should do that. That's the things I think of. It's like, yeah, like knowing that, like the times that I've called with me like, hey, like I need to sort this out because I wasn't in the country, and like she's just like, yeah, cool, and does it. Those are the things that I really think like, wow, like I'm loved. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's talk about what would you say to people who are in relationship or friendship? How do you think we should maintain the relationship or friendship? I keep saying relationship, friendship. Coming out of the pandemic, let's talk about that. What are the things you think we should look out for? The things we should do? Yeah.
I think that, like we've already said, like it's a two-way street, and so you need to be putting into the relationship, but you also need to be able to receive from the relationship. And so I had a situation where I had like gone through like a precarious situation with some of my friends, and the pandemic made it harder to restore the friendship, because obviously if you were falling out with someone, you like go for coffee, like, you know, catch up every so often. But because of the pandemic, you're stuck at home, so you'd have to put even more effort forward. You'd have to call them a bit more, text them a bit more to know that, okay, like I'm serious about maintaining that friendship. So in terms of moving out of the pandemic and maintaining that friendship, it's always going to be about like reaching out, making sure that the other person knows that you care, and knowing that person's love languages, and therefore how they would even be able to receive whatever love you're capable of giving. If you know your friend is somebody who is like an acts of service person, and you want to really maintain that relationship, then you need, not that you need to become an acts of service type of person, but you need to like make an effort to show like, oh, hey, like I know that you require this, or that you like this particular thing. I'm going to do it even if it's not my personality type, and vice versa. The person receiving and should also acknowledge their friend's love language and try to like work within that. I think people are pretty simple, so like if they feel like you're making an effort, they will make it. If they don't feel like you're making an effort, that's when the situation can kind of disintegrate into nothing.
Okay, it's interesting because one of the questions I was going to ask you guys was, have you had to rethink your social circle, especially over the last two years? Yeah, okay. So.
I mean, part of it is just like a constraint of time, right? So like people are very, very busy. You might get more and more busy. So like you actually just don't have as much time. And I mean, I say this as someone, like I don't even have like dependents. So I can only imagine how much more difficult it will become when I have like a family and stuff. So I think I've had to, reconsider the expectations that I have of myself, and also like the expectations of other people. Like even for example, like mine and Wunmi's relationship. So Wunmi is like a lawyer, and their hours are like just, they can get a bit crazy, but also in an unpredictable way. So I also had to address like my own expectations of Wunmi, because it's like Wunmi categorically will not see anyone during the week now, like at all. And even some weekends will be like, I'm working, and I can't then be mad at her because that, like, I have to adjust my expectations of what she can come to. But I think I also have to then communicate as like, okay, what will this now look like in a way that I'm not going to feel some type of way, you're not going to feel some type of way, I won't feel like you're disappointing me, you won't feel like you're like, we have to like talk about that. So I think the time constraint has definitely made me readjust things. And also I think it kind of goes back to what Busola was saying, as like accepting people for who they are. So I just like now have people in my life that are still my friends, who I just don't expect certain things from them. And like, that's okay. Like once I released them from that expectation, I felt so much better, because I'm not constantly like upset by you. There isn't like some sort of elephant in the room. It's just like, we can be friends and we can exist, but I just will not put certain expectations on you. And similarly for me, like whilst, there's still like love and I can be kind and all of that kind of things, there's just certain things where it's like, okay, this is now like a boundary for me, because we don't necessarily need to have that kind of relationship, and there's no love lost. And like I literally have a couple of friends where genuinely like I love them, but I don't put those expectations on them, and I don't need to like go around carrying the whole thing on my head, and like everything that is there. It's like the way I would carry Busola's problems on my head, or carry Wunmi's problems on my head, I might not do that.
No, I love that, because I think that's the reason why we have challenges in relationship, in friendship, because we have so much expectations of some of our friends. Okay, Busola, what about you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't want to steal Nonye's point, but I agree. I think it's knowing that what you're getting from that friend, and you guys are both aligned to that. I always say I'm big at communication, not always the best at it, must confess, but I also think, okay, so I've lost my train of thought now. So wait, am I answering the maintaining friendships?
Anyway, you can either go to
rethinking my circle. I've had to rethink my circle a lot of times. I think if we go back to like my secondary school friends, I don't really speak to the majority of them anymore. Uni, same. The majority of them don't really speak to anymore, if I'm going to call a spade a spade. So I think for me, if I go back to me being an only child, I'm always looking for friendships, like wherever I can get it. And it used to be something that I, because I wanted that family, I wanted that love, it was something that I would really make an effort to do. And sometimes these friendships weren't actually serving me. So there was one person I was supposed to be moving in with, and I decided, financially, it actually just did not make sense for me to move in with them. And they kind of just cut me out of their life. And I was like, wow, I thought this person was my friend. Like, no explanation, no. Until this day, we haven't spoken. And so sometimes my friendship circle is maybe defined by God, because he's moving people that I don't actually feel that maybe I thought were my friends, but actually generally weren't. And there's something that kind of actually by life separates us.
Yeah.
And so I've become very, very secure in my core, which is this No New Friends and a few others. And I don't feel like I need to try as hard as I used to. And I think that's something that's come from within me, rather than, and also like God helping me sniff out the people who aren't necessarily supposed to be my friends. And that's how I feel like my social circles have been redefined and changed over the last like 26 years.
Yeah. I think some friends, I'm sure you've heard this, that some friends are for a season. Some friends are for a season, some friends are for a reason. I can't remember the last one.
And some friends are for a lifetime, no?
And something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. But okay, before we even go, there's something else that I actually forgot to mention whilst you guys have been talking. Over the last few, 2 years? Yeah, almost 2 years now. We've had a lot of issues with, especially young people, with mental health issues. And I'm sure you guys have come across that with your friends. And Nonye, when we're talking, you did mention something about also being, with someone said, oh, we should reach, you guys have said it to reach out to your friends, but you also said that we too should be able to reach out if you're going through. And Busola, well, she said she kind of reached out. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because I know that that's something that a lot of people are struggling with, and some people might not be able to ask for help. So do you want to unpack that a bit?
I relate to this topic so much, and in terms of seeing signs in your friends, it's literally so bespoke to that friendship. If you see somebody who's like super extroverted, very confident, always happy to go out, all that kind of stuff, and then one day, or like over a period of time, you stop hearing from them, they're more isolated, they're more pessimistic. Those are the type of things that you should be looking at, like, oh, okay, like, let me check in on this person, let me make a bit more effort with this person.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the person doesn't want to disclose that they're going through something, they're just not going to do it. And a lot of the times where we hear people who, take their lives and stuff, if you speak to their friends, they'll say, like, literally no idea. Like, we had no idea that this was on their mind, which is why I always think it's so important to just check in on people, because you just never know, your conversation might be the one that makes them be like, oh, actually, like, I feel comfortable to disclose what I'm going through.
Right.
But honestly, I think it's so unpredictable that you literally just have to, like, do the act of checking in on your friends, but also pray, like, God, like, reveal to me if any of my friends going through some stuff behind the scenes that I know nothing about. Because even though I'm close to Nonye and Buzz and other people, when I was going through my situation, it wasn't till the end of the situation that they even knew any. The situation had been had been unfolding and getting serious for like 3 months before any of them found out. And then when they now found out, as soon as they found out, they all came to my house, like literally all Buzz, Apple Pear, Nonye, all of them at my house. And I was like just so stressed out. I was crying, like they couldn't believe what was happening because I hadn't said anything. So,
why, let me ask you a question. So why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you reach out to them?
It's just not really my personality type.
So did you reach out to anyone at all? Did your parents know what was going on?
No, my family were Nigerians, right? So I was just like, and it was to do with school as well. So I was like, you guys are just not gonna get it. Like, you guys are gonna be like, just read the book and like you'll be fine. And I was like, oh, if only I thought of that. Of course, I'm trying to read the book, right? It was once I started having like actual bodily reactions to my stress that I was like, let me say something, because I've always dealt with stress, but not to this extent.
Okay.
So I actually spoke to my grandma because she's a psychiatrist. So I spoke to my grandma, and then from there I felt a bit more comfortable. And then eventually I think Nonye was like the first person I told, and then everybody like rallied around. But yeah, like I feel like for people who are like I'm very independent. So people like me, I feel like we're less inclined to go and tell people that, oh, like, you know, I'm not really feeling too great.
Sorry, Wunmi, I'm sorry, I'm just going to, because I'm just trying to understand and also help, especially parents that may be watching or friends. I know you said it's just not your personality type, but looking back now, do you wish you had asked for help earlier on?
Oh, definitely.
So what will you do? So next time, I know it's not your personality type, but what will you do differently next time?
Next time, I would tell. Next time, I would tell my mom or Nonye like straight away. Like now, like when I get stressy now, because I can kind of predict the signs of when like things are just going to a bad place. So I would like I'll be like, okay, cool, like, Mom, this is how I feel right now, blah blah blah, and then she'll like, you know, calm me down or whatever. But at that time, it wasn't until things were so far gone that I would even say anything. And even if I did say anything at that time, I would like not tell the whole truth. I would be like, the person wouldn't know the full extent of how I feel, basically. Whereas now, like, I would just say, like, I fully feel this. So.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thanks a lot. Okay. Who wants to go next?
Sorry, Auntie, can you remind me?
Yeah, I was going to say, please, can you repeat the question?
We're talking about mental health issues that people went through during the pandemic and probably still going through now. And how do people, should people reach out? Should they reach out, or should you reach out to them more? So just talk about that.
I mean, to add to Wunmi's point, it's so hard to know if like the obvious ones are like, you know, when someone's always out and an extrovert and then they start isolating themselves. But if someone's an introvert, it's really hard to actually know, you know, how they are feeling and what the obvious signs are, because they're obviously quite closed off. They're always quite far back. But I must confess that I'm one of those people, if I don't hear from you for a while, I'll just check in or send you a random message or send you a random meme. And I like to think that I'm someone that people find easy to talk to. So I will always ask you, like, how are you? How's your life? How's work? What's going on? But I also think sometimes I also need to be a bit more intentional with doing it, because as I said, my trigger to doing that is when I haven't heard from you in a long time. But it shouldn't have to be when I haven't heard from you from a long time for me to be checking in on you. It should just be something that, you know, I should be a bit more intentional with. And that's something I'm also working through. But then there are obvious signs. There's some like people who maybe used to talk to like every day and then all of a sudden it just stops. You're just like, oh, what's going on? Where have you been? And they also have people who, you know, they are going through things, but they'll be laughing about it, or they'll say something in jest, and you're like, hold up, wait a minute, and then they're like, oh, I'm just joking, like, come on. And so it's also like, you know, how, if they're joking, do you take it seriously, do you not take it seriously? It's really, really hard I think, I must be honest, it's very, very hard.
It's hard, yeah. Because like some people, I think when we said it, or was it, can't remember if it was Nonye or Nonye, that sometimes you just don't know. Even if you reach out, people won't open up. I mean, there are lots of people who unfortunately are taking their lives, and people around them will say things like, but we didn't know. I asked her, she was always fine, always bubbly and all of that. But I think being intentional and reaching out is, it's very good. At least you can say you tried. You really tried. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what Wunmi said about just like, you know, praying and asking God to sort of like help feel to you, that's something that I've definitely lent into more, because I think my nature is to try and be like the perfect friend to everybody, the best friend, like always be there, all that kind of thing. Like A is very draining, and B, like you actually just can't do for everybody at all times. And so it meant that like if something happened to my friend that I didn't know about, or when I did know, it would be like a personal failure on me, that like, how did I not know? How was this person going through things? Like I wasn't there, blah, 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 which doesn't really help anybody. And to be honest, it's kind of like just centering yourself in was something that's nothing to do with you. And so I think in being a bit more like, I think again, it goes back to this like releasing myself thing and being a bit more like, okay, God, if there are ways where I need to show up a bit more, let me know. But I can't like put it on myself to show up 100% for 100% of people at all times, because like you physically can't. And so there are times when you kind of like lean in. I think like Busola spoke about like, you know, there's times when you like smother people, and like, because you just sense that like, I need to just be there. And so sometimes that even just looks like you're just in the person's space a bit more, and you're not necessarily like, you know, oh, talk to me about all the things that are going on. But it's just like, you might just go and sit in their house, or be like, oh, I'm going to work from your house today, or something like that, and just like be around. And they may talk to you about what they're going through. They might not. It might just be like they're happy to have somebody there, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, for me, like listening to the Holy Spirit a bit more has helped me with that, because even like sometimes, you know, like when you're praying and then somebody just drops into your mind, to pray for them, or to you just send a message like, hey, you came up, like I was praying and you came into my spirit, hope everything's good. I feel like the Holy Spirit is very good at like just putting those little nudges, because ultimately he knows who is in need of what at all times. And so like he can then orchestrate, and you don't have to put it on yourself to be like, I must save everybody, you know?
That's so true. We really need to lean on the Holy Spirit to help us with, because you wouldn't know. I mean, there's some people are really good at just being, you know, always bubbly, you know, I'm fine, and you will just never know. So yeah, like Nonye said, it's so important to pray and lean on the Holy Spirit. Okay, so back to this maintaining friendships. Yeah, ladies, let's talk more about this. What are the things you guys have proposed to do, and what are the things you will love for your friends and for those of us watching to do with regards to maintaining the relationship? Let me ask you guys another question. I keep going back, I'm sorry. How do you deal with, I mean, we call them in my generation, I don't know what you guys call them, how do you deal with high maintenance friendship? Do you know what that means?
Like our friendship is high maintenance. All of the no new friends group, I feel like it's like,
did you guys have a name for it? Because I'm sure you guys might have a name for it.
No, it's high
maintenance.
Yeah.
High maintenance.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't mind high maintenance friendship with my inner circle, because like friends are the family I've chosen. So in that, you need to do what you need to do to maintain it. It is my friendships that arise externally to that inner circle where a high maintenance friendship would potentially be an issue, in terms of I'm my personality type. Like I'm a very giving type of person, and so if I'm pouring so much into a relationship and I don't feel like getting it back, I will get offended, which goes back to what Nonye said. You need to kind of release yourself from that expectation. So when it comes to my inner sister circle, those expectations are there. I'm pretty sure everybody knows like what I like for my friendships and vice versa, which is why we don't really have any issues, because for whatever reason, we all seem to just get each other. Whereas externally to that, like I keep it real simple. Say hi to me every once in a while. Maybe we'll go for I mean, because you can't put those type of expectations on yourself or other people. So I would say inner circle, fine, you can be high maintenance. External circle, keep it real simple. Yeah,
I think for me, kind of what I said before, I'm not good at like quantity of interaction, but I'm good at quality of interaction. So like I really, really just try and like push that. So like in the moments that we are interacting, it's like a very deep, like, let's share, let's really like be here. Like, I'm not one of those people that like, even little things, like if I'm speaking to someone, like I will literally not look at my phone for like multiple hours, like, because I want to be there.
Okay.
My friends that I have that have moved countries, I try as much as possible to like do a visit and be like there. But after that visit, I might not speak to you for like a couple of months, because, and I know that that's where my strengths are. So I think the only times it has come into like a bit of a clash is when it's like I'm trying to lean into that strength, and then the other person, like what they actually require is very, very different, because it's like, okay, great, that's what you're good at, but that's not what I want. Okay. And that is, you know, like you have to then kind of negotiate, and then it's like, okay, like to what extent am I going to shift from my pattern, to what extent are you going to shift from your pattern with your expectations? And sometimes it is just like respectfully, like I'm going to have to let you down in this expectation, because like I'm not going to be able to do that. And like, where do we go from here? And it's happened both way rounds, where like I'm the disappointer and I've been the disappointee. Okay. And so like the times when that's happened and I've been the disappointee, it's just kind of like, okay, I'm too high maintenance for you, and so this is not going to be like a fruitful relationship, so let's maybe just like dial it down, sort of thing. But I think as the person who is more high maintenance, you can't like force somebody to meet you at your level of maintenance unless they want to, you know. And so fine if they want to. And I've had conversations like with even like close friends, where we talk about this, our close friend groups, where I've been like, hey, you know, I feel like, not that you're slacking, but I feel like this would have been my expectation for you, and it doesn't feel like you're there. And sometimes it has been like, wow, didn't even realize I was like, you know, not there, and the person really makes an effort to shift. And other times the person doesn't, and like that's okay, you know.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I think before I was working, I would probably say I was a high maintenance friend. Like, no,
you guys agree with that?
True. I'm like, before I had a job,
I feel like, yeah, so I have more emotional needs than a lot of my other friends.
And I think that's it. I think it's very emotional, and it can be a bit too heavy. And again, when we go back to like one of my very initial points about, you know, accepting people for who they are. Yeah. So like, if I'm giving you level 10 emotion and you're giving me level 3, I used to take it so personally. It didn't even cross my mind that people can not naturally actually get to level 10, and I can give you a level 10 maybe like quite early on in the friendship, and people like me, I'm still trying to figure out whether I like you or not, kind of thing.
I'm like 10 years in, I'm like, okay, maybe you get like an 8.
So I like back then, but then, you know, you got work, you're busy. As Nonye says, like, I don't know how you mums do it. Even dads do, shout out you, because I'm like, feel like I'm constantly busy and I don't even have dependents. So it's just like my high maintenance has shifted. But then being someone who is high maintenance, dealing with a high maintenance friend, you know, is going to come to the point where you're going to burn out, and it's just going to be like, okay, I can't meet you at this level. Yeah. But then I know I can be a smotherer, and my smotherer is not like finite. It's only in that particular season where, okay, your turn to be high maintenance, I'm going to help you with your high maintenance need. But it's when someone has that expectation about the high maintenance to be finite and just continue, it's just like, girl, like, I can't do this. And like, whereas before I knew that was an expectation that I had of other people. So again, for me, it's been a bit of a learning journey in terms of the maintenance aspect.
Do you feel more sympathetic though, Busola, to high maintenance people, because like you understand where they were coming from?
I do. And so I will put in a lot of effort initially, but I also know that, okay, I'll put in a lot of effort initially, but this is also not sustainable to me. So my initial reaction is to be like, let me give you as much love, as much support but then it's also like, okay, but I also need to find that time to give myself that love. I need to give my time that support as well. So I think, as you said, what I think, sorry, let me start again. What I'm trying to say is that I feel like there's a season where you can be that high, where you need to cater to that high maintenance friend, but also know that it's not something that you can sustain.
Exactly. It's like you said, like, I think if people trust that when they need you, you'll be there, then they're more there for you whenever you need them. So, like,
exactly.
I don't really care necessarily what my friends ask for. Like Nonye said, like, if she messages me to do something, I'll pretty much do it, because I know that it might not be today, it might not be in 2 years, 3 years, whatever. But when I need Nonye, I certainly know she's going to be there for me. And I feel like that's how all of us feel about each other, which makes it easier to be, selfless with your friends.
Okay. What other question? How did you guys get to this place of having what I want to believe uncomplicated friendship? Because
God.
and also God, I like that. And also, have you guys ever had seasons where it's like, no, I'm not friends with Wunmi anymore, or Busola anymore, or Nonye anymore, and that's it. And then you guys have come back. So since you've been quite vulnerable with us, please share.
Yeah. I mean, Nonye, do you want to talk about Nonye and I had
I'm
this season.
out of my life.
Actually, I've been thinking, like, do you know what the crazy thing is, that I didn't actually know because I was upset with her, and then I confronted her. Like, I can't remember what happened, but I confronted her, and you're like, girl, you have not done X, Y, Z. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I feel like I can't even remember how that was, but I used to be very like black and white. So like if somebody did something that bothered me, I wouldn't really get emotional about it. Like in my head, it'd be like, oh, it's not that deep. Like it just, the fact that this person is doing this thing, like that means that they're the type of person that would do that thing. Thus, they're not compatible with me as a friend. And so and this would all happen in my mind. And then it'd be like, I'm just going to like take them and put them in a different box. But like, it's all good. No, no issue. You're just not here anymore. And that's how I used to react to things. And so it's only really in like later life, like I feel like post being an adult, that I've had like conflict with friends, because I wouldn't ever have conflict. I would just like move you out of that tier. So doing it now, I think it's different because you're a bit more mature. And again, I think my goal is always, okay, like obviously I want to be heard. I want to hear your point as well.
Right.
I would love for us to still be friends at this same level, but I'm also accepting of the fact, like, if that's not what the next, if that's not what our friendship is going to look like, okay. And I think approaching things like that, so I've never really had like I can't actually know. I shouted at one friend once, like properly shouted. But apart from that, I've never really had like I can't believe you did X, Y, Z. It's more just like, hey, so like you doing X, Y, Z had me feeling A, B. Wanted to hear like what your thoughts were, and then like where do we go from here? Because if it's like you're saying, well, I'm just gonna keep doing X, Y, Z, then it's like, okay, I'll just have to readjust. I can't force you not to do that. But I think I tend to approach things in a almost overly rational way, and I'm trying to like get out of that. So I would maybe not use my approach as the blueprint.
I mean, I must say, I think now I'm so big on sorry. I hate holding on to things. It's just not worth the stress anymore. I was like, I have this one friend really close to her. She can be so sarcastic, and so like her insults, she's just too quick with them. So you'll be going back and forth, and then sometimes I'll just drop a nuclear bomb, and I'm like, okay, no, this went a bit too far. And then like, I don't think we can't. I really do apply the whole rule of like not going to bed angry, because one, I can't sleep, but two, like you never know what's gonna happen, and it's just like you want to be at peace, and I love you ultimately. So I am very big on sorry, even if, and then sometimes I would do something and they may not necessarily know that I've done it, but I'm like, guy, I'm sorry, I did this, by the way, just so you know, I was really angry at you, so I may have done X, Y, and Z. And then it's just, I'm very big on that. But but that's only, but then there are other friendships, you know, I can try. If you don't want to receive my sorry, I can't receive it for you. And I am not going to go on my knees and beg you to accept my apology. Like, I also have that line as well. I will try, I will, like this person who I was telling you about, I decided not to move in with them for financial reasons.
Yeah.
I tried, I emailed, because I was blocked and everything, Instagram, DM, WhatsApp. It got to the point where I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Now you've tried every way. If they don't want it, can't have it anymore. But it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. We've got Wunmi, do you want to say something about...
Luckily, like I said, it's literally by God's grace that in this friendship circle of like 5 girls, I haven't fallen out with any of them at any point in the last 10 plus years. Like, and I don't think we didn't do anything to make it that way. It just so happened that nothing has happened. That's what I'm saying. It's by God's grace. But in terms of the relationships, the few female like friendships that I've had that did not work out, I would say that the issues were like what Buzz said, you need to be willing to say sorry and forgive. And I wouldn't say I'm particularly I can say sorry. Forgiveness is the issue because I remember everything. And so I can literally like accept your apology, but then remember what was like the thing that you did to wrong me, and then I'll get myself upset all over again, which I'm trying to work on. God help us all.
Amen.
And I think that in terms of like when you do wrong, like there was a time like in the pandemic, like 2 years ago, where I defended 2 of my friends. I'd thrown like a picnic and I didn't invite like 2 of my friends, and they were really offended by it. But because I was going through like a friendship breakup in one other area in my life, it was making me very sensitive to how people feel and how you can like do something for someone and have no bad intentions, but they perceive it in a bad way. And so I was super sensitive. And I remember like, I was like journaling one day, and God told me like, okay, like you need to go and apologize to this person, you need to apologize to that person. So you do need to learn how to say sorry, and your sorry should be commensurate to whatever you did to wrong that person. And I think that that is where the issue lies. If you're apologizing to someone, you need to change your behavior that you're apologizing for. If you say sorry but you keep saying, then you never really apologize. And that's, for me, my boundary, that I can't get past that. Like, if I tell you something upsets me and then you do the thing that upsets me, I cannot get over that. So on the one hand, yes, apologize. On the other hand, if you're apologizing, make sure that you're changing the behavior that apology. And then I think that's literally how you maintain uncomplicated friendships.
Great. Okay, we've got a few questions. How do you deal with a friendship situation where one friend, where you fall out with one friend and another expects you to... Let me look at the question again.
I think, is it probably saying like, so I can talk about this. I had a little trio.
Okay.
And I can't lie to you, they're both great, because I know for a fact if I had fallen out with any of them, I would have been like, why don't you take sides? But in that moment, for me, it was the hardest, probably, one of the hardest times in my life, because both sides weren't budging. And it got to the point where I had to stay neutral because I cared so deeply about both relationships. But it's hard. And I had to be very clear with both of them, saying like, I'm not going to stop talking to this person because of you. I'm not going to stop talking to that person because of you, because I care about you. Whatever you say to me is in confidence. Whatever you say to me in confidence. I mean, I try to broker it. I try to get other people, try to get them back together. Right. But it's got to the point where they were so, I can't lie to you, kudos to them, they know who they are. They were so mature about it. Like, even for my birthday, they would like work together. Even now, they work together to make sure that I have a great birthday. Or if I'm upset, they will both come knowing their relationship is what it is. But they are, or as I can tell you for a fact, I couldn't do it. I think maybe now I could, but back then when I was in uni, I would have been like, one of you guys have to choose sides. So being in that position and being able to see such maturity between them, you have to just be very, very clear and define the boundaries when it comes to both of them, because that's the only way it's going to
be clear
work
about boundaries. Great. Okay. How would Nonye, how would you handle that kind of situation?
Yeah, I think similar to the. So I've been in. To be honest, I've been in that situation quite a few times. I don't know why my friends be fighting each other, but like I think yeah. So I was like literally like on either side, like my two best friends. I've been in a situation where it's like maybe I'm closer with one person, but like this person is still my friend, and I'm not gonna not be friends with them, or like, and that's happened quite a few times. And I think yeah, as Busola said, I just like a clear communication of hey, like I'm not choosing sides. There has been like one time where I sort of spoke to both sides about it more because I was really just like I need like for my own peace, like if like I need to know what happened because you know if X happened then that's kind of wild. So I've had times where I've sort of like not admonished my friends, but like just like hey, this is not an acceptable way to behave. Just so you know, like for the person who's in the wrong.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's like okay, that's not like going to be the end point of our friendship, but like I'm letting you know that that was not an okay thing to do. And then from there we go on. I think I've been kind of blessed in the same way that people haven't made me choose sides, but I also am like very, very clear that I'm not choosing side. And even to the point of I had one where I was like the whole friendship group fell out with one person who I was very, very close to. And like in dinners and stuff, like when I was hanging around with the whole group, I would literally like as the conversation was happening, I was like, yeah, guys, we're not having this conversation because it would become very like mean and catty. And like because they were all bonding over the fact that they all didn't like this one guy anymore, I would just be like, yeah, guys, like if I'm around, we're not having this conversation. Like this isn't going to be a topic. And I tend to be quite like loyal to both sides in that sense. Without it being like, oh, I'm choosing. Yeah, so I think that's the thing. Instead of like choosing one, it's almost like I try and choose both. So it's like I'll go to bat for both, but it's not just one.
Okay. There's Wunmi, you answer this question and then the others can chip in. How do you deal with sister friends who are fiercely competitive against each other that it causes a strain on the relationship? So friends who compete with each other.
Again, I don't think I've ever had that. Well, also there will be no competing. But following on what Nonye says, I feel like you just have when someone if you have two super competitive friends, but like one person is taking it too far or like they're just doing something that is categorically wrong, you have to be willing and able to be like, you know, like your behavior is just not acceptable. Like you need to fix the situation. That would really be my only advice for that type of situation. Okay. I don't, luckily, but like we're literally also different. We all don't even, like, there's not even that much crossover, quite honestly. What would we be competing about? Like a friend? I don't know.
Anyone else want to chip in?
I can't actually. It's really hard because I would say for me personally, I'm so secure in like God delivering what's meant for me. I don't feel like I need to put myself under unnecessary pressure to compete with people, maybe at work, but they're not my friends. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it doesn't, I'm really struggling. But I think if you were an onlooker and you're both friends with these friends, I would be able to tell them like, I mean, if you're Christian, be like, you need to be secure in like what God has for me. Absolutely. Is different to what God has for you. Absolutely. And one of you guys, if you're both like that, one of you has to get to that position, or you need to, if you're that friend being that onlooker, you need to be able to communicate that to them and be like it's good. I mean, if you guys are competing to the point where you're motivating each other, that's cool. But when it becomes a bit disruptive and it's, you know, affecting your relationship, you guys also need to have a conversation saying like, okay, what's more important, my desire to beat you or this relationship?
But real friends even compete with each other.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah. Real friends shouldn't compete.
Point. Like, I think if you're friends with someone who is competing with you or jealous of you, like you would want to pray that God reveals that type of person to you first. But equally, I think, especially at the stage of life that we're at, well, we're kind of on the tail end, but say like when you graduate and people are getting jobs and getting all that kind of stuff, you might be not competing or jealous of, but you might, when good things are happening to your friends, you might have a bittersweet feeling as opposed to just a sweet feeling. And that's where I think conversations need to be had, and like if you are the person who feels bittersweet, you kind of need to be like, address the fact that you feel that way. Why do I feel this way? Yes, I'm happy for my friends, but I'm sad for myself. But then, like Buzz said, you should be secure in the fact that what is yours will be yours. God is not going to forsake you. He's not going to leave you. So you just have to find confidence and happiness in that fact. And even if you do feel bittersweet, it should not be, nobody should be able to tell. Like if your friend says, oh, I got a job, and you're like, oh, okay, like, wow. Like, no, you should always, like, always be happy for your friends. Like, always. So.
Well, I think the key thing, Wunmi, is what you said about recognizing that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why am I feeling this way? That's very important. Being aware. Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked a question. I know we may have dealt with it, but she said, "How do you know you're a high maintenance friend? How do you know?"
As in, how do you know that you personally are one, or how do you identify?
How do you know that you are a high? So as in the person, like, oh, how do I know that I'm a high maintenance? So I may not know. Maybe you guys will know, but I may not know that I'm a high maintenance.
It's weird.
Maybe Busola can answer that.
Yeah, I must confess, it's weird because I didn't. When I was that high maintenance, I didn't know it at the time. For me, it was more of like a self-reflective thing, like, and then also maybe I'm very bad at WhatsApp. Like I can leave people reply. I feel like I have WhatsApp from someone like a lot from 2021 still. So, and then I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I feel so bad. It's not that I didn't see it. I just saw it, registered it, but then life moves on. But Busola, post work, like busy, had too much time on my hands, I'd be like, how can this person not reply me instantly? And I was just like, and it's, for me, it was more of a reflective thing rather than a thing that I saw at the time. So
yeah, I think to add to that, like, if you're constantly offended, because I mean the relationship, I realized that, okay, maybe I'm a bit, or my expectations are too high for this person. If like you're constantly offended by something that the person's done in the relationship, and like especially I guess if you can then spread that across multiple relationships, so it's like in every single relationship you're constantly feeling like you're wronged, you're constantly feeling like people aren't living up to your expectations, all of that kind of thing, then yes, it could be that you just have a lot of trash friends, but it also could be that, okay, maybe my expectations are very, very high, and then you can start to like think, as Busola said, like do a bit of self-reflection, and then you're thinking, okay, why are my expectations high? Are these expectations unreasonable? And it might be that you come to the conclusion that they're not unreasonable, in which case you have to then do the effort of finding people that can give you what you need. Or it's like, okay, no, I really want to be in relationship with these my friends, so I might have to adjust in certain ways, or have conversations where it's like, okay, they might not give me this, but they give me this, and you can have that compromise.
Okay.
It's like I said at the top of the conversation, I only have high expectations of my closest friends because I know what I require. And I know, like, there was some friendships that I made after the fact of us where I was holding them to the standard of Nonye and Buzz, who I've known for 10, 12 years. And then when they wouldn't do it because they don't know me for that long, like they just don't get me, I would be so offended. And then when I got tired of being offended, I said, you know what, let me just put you here. You do you, I'll do me. And then if I really need a lot, I'll go back to my core circle. And when I make that distinction, I feel a lot better for it. When I try and hold people to the standards of Nonye, Buzz, etc., it just never really works, because we've been friends for so long that we just get it. I can't hold you to that standard, or else I'm just going to offend myself and upset myself.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, another question for you ladies. Do you guys think your friendship will still be this strong when one of you get married?
I mean, I already know that these people aren't getting rid of me. So
these are for lifers.
Yeah, but I think it's changed though. Like obviously like what you're saying about friendship to season. So I've seen, for example, like in people that I consider like my older sisters or like aunties and stuff, I've seen how like their friendship groups have shifted in different seasons. So maybe like if you're getting married and you might spend more time with like married friends because you're doing different things, or like when you have a baby, you like are drawn closer to your friends who are like mothers and stuff, because there's like support that can be done there. So I do think like we will, like, depending on the timing of our different seasons, our relationships might look different.
Yeah.
But I'm like very, very committed to the relationship still being strong, even if that looks different, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like me and Nonye have had tests of that. Like I said, when she moved to Paris at 18 or whatever, and because I'm a year older than her, so it was always like one after the other. And we were at different stages. So I graduated, but she was still in her final year, like super stressed with school and stuff. Then I got a job, and then she was doing her NYSC, applying for jobs. Like, our timelines have always been one after the other. But again, like, you have to, like she said, you have to be like committed to the friendship, which I am. And so therefore, you just take it as it comes, and you support where you can support. You be there for the person where you can be there for the person. And then I think that's how like you're able to maintain it through the seasons.
Great. Okay, let's round up now. So I want each one to just give us 2 or 3 things to maintain this relationship, this in the post-pandemic world. So it could be, so for example, one person can say, oh, let me give you one. So it'll be consistency in the friendship. So just give us 3 things each that you think we can do to maintain the friendship, our friendships rather, in a post-pandemic world. And I'll start. You, Nani.
Okay, I would say leaning into your strengths as a friend, quality time, not necessarily quantity time, and what would my third one be? And like giving people grace, so not having
grace.
Expectations.
Okay, leaning to your strength, giving people time, and what was the last one again?
So leaning to your strengths, quality time, and your
giving
friends
people grace. Thank you. Great. Okay. Busola, Wunmi.
Yeah, I'll go next. So I think one of the ones is communication. I think that's really, really important. Either checking in on someone, expressing when you're upset with someone about something, but also communicate, tell them how much you love them as well. I think communication is one of the most important things. Still working on it. But it's, I think, and sorry, Nonye, I'm stealing one of yours, but quality time. So what I like to do with my friends is go on friendship dates, because sometimes on
friendship dates,
and it's something that has really, really been amazing, because you can talk to people on WhatsApp, you'd be like, hi, how are you? Like, yeah, I'm good. But when you guys carve out that time to sit with each other, have a meal, you're there, like, you're just telling things. I'm like, I always reveal things that I'm going through in those friendship dates. And they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. Every time I'm asking you, like, I'm good. And I was like, yeah, it's easier for me to talk to you face to face. But I do think friendship dates is something that I really, really do find very important. And then my third one probably be intentional. And you just need to be intentional with your friendships, intentional in reaching out, but also be intentional about considering other people's feelings. And I'm gonna have a fourth one as well, sorry.
No,
but it's also
sorry. I know I said 3, but I mean, you guys go have more. It's the fourth one. So now if you think of others, you can
and again, knowing, I feel like you need to also be secure in your friendships. So like, as if you know that, okay, I don't speak to this person in 6 months, but I know when I see them, it's like no time has passed. I won't feel the need to constantly talk to them all the time. But it's also just knowing, being secure in yourself, but also being secure in that relationship. If you don't feel secure in that relationship, you either talk about it. If you talk about it and things change, good. If you talk about it and things don't change, then you also need to be like, yeah, maybe this friendship isn't for me right now. And it's okay.
Okay. So communication, I remember you talked about, friendship dates, being secure. Yes. Well, there are 4 things. So which one?
And then being intentional about your friendship.
Okay. Thank you very much. Wunmi?
My 3 points would be capable of having transparent communication. Nobody is in your head. So like, if you have an issue, vocalize it. If you're happy somebody did something, vocalize it. But just be transparent in your communication, and then always make your best effort. Whatever it is you're contributing to the friendship, just do your best at that thing. I think if people recognize that, like, this is the best that my friend can give to me, they will accept it. But if they know what you're capable of and they know that you're giving them bare minimum effort, usually that's where issues start to arise. And then also be committed and willing to forgive, because again, your friends are just people, so they're going to disappoint you at some point. So already have in the back of your mind, store up some forgiveness and be ready to use it when when and if something happens.
Yeah. Can I add a fourth one? Sorry.
Yes.
But add like being proactive. It kind of touches on what Wunmi said.
I missed that. What?
Being proactive.
Being proactive. Okay.
Like, if you know, okay, like, I'm about to be busy, like, for this particular chunk, then it's like either, okay, like, let me put in some time before, or let me like schedule in something after, so they know that I'm thinking of them. Right. Like saying thank you, like cards, all those little things where it's like, let me start, you know, showing this love, because there's going to be a moment where you're not able to.
I like that. Okay, so Nonye just added be proactive. Wunmi said transparency, do your best. I like that. And then forgive. Yeah. Those were your three. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone just store up some forgiveness, because, and it's so true what you said, because these things can happen. So I was going to say be expected, no, but just know that your friends may offend you at any point in time, and just be ready to forgive them. Great. Wow. This has been really good, ladies. Really, really good. Do you guys have a last word? Anything you want to say before we log off?
One more thing that I'm remembering is that the forgiveness and the transparent communication, they go hand in hand. Because the situation that didn't work out for me friendship wise, I was forgiving them in my head. So they would do stuff and I wouldn't bring it up. But I'll just be like, you know what? I'm just going to let that go. I'm going to let that go. And I let it go for 2 years. And then I started to use my transparent communication. But then I just said, no, because you did this, and this. Whereas if I had at every juncture, and they didn't even know that I was offended by those things until I brought it up at the very, very end. Whereas if I had like continuously said, hey, you did this, and then they apologize. Okay, hey, you did that, and then you can apologize. Then I would have been able to see, okay, like, are they willing to change, or is this just their personality trait, and therefore, like, do I want to be in this friendship? So transparent communication plus willing forgiveness goes hand in hand, because the Bible says that love doesn't keep record of wrongs, right? I certainly was keeping a record, and it made it just so much more difficult in the end. So yeah.
Well done. Thank you so much, ladies. You guys are amazing.
Thank you for having
us. Amazing. All right, folks. Thank you very much for being with us today. And can we just show some appreciation to Nonye, Busola, and Wunmi? They've been absolutely amazing, vulnerable, transparent, and just open. And I love that about them. Thank you. Really, really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend.
And you too. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.